The front line has shifted, and it's inside Russia now. For over 2 years, the world watched as war raged across Ukraine's fields, forests, and cities. But today, that battle line has blurred. It's no longer confined to the Donbass or Kherson. It has moved. Not just to Crimea, not just to border towns, but deep inside the very heart of Russia, inside Moscow itself. In a move that has stunned military analysts and upended traditional war logic, Ukrainian forces, or Ukrainian-aligned operatives, have reportedly launched highly coordinated precision strikes on key Russian bomb research and development sites. These are not minor incursions. These are direct attacks on the strategic backbone of Russia's weapons manufacturing machine. And the world is asking, is this a tipping point? Is this escalation or evolution? And most importantly, what comes next? Section 1. What we know. The strikes that shook Moscow. Initial reports surfaced in late May through open source intelligence channels. By June, Western and Eastern media confirmed multiple explosions had erupted across Moscow's outer military-industrial districts. These were not random. Targets included facilities associated with advanced missile engineering, bomb prototype design, and nuclear warhead logistics. Specifically, attention has focused on the Scientific Research Institute of Thermal Processes and a classified complex in the Lianozovo district, both tied to the development of cruise missile guidance systems. Satellite imagery showed damage, consistent with internal detonations, suggesting the strikes were either carried out with long-range drones, sabotage operatives, or, as some theorize, cyber-induced detonations within stored munitions. For a city that has largely felt insulated from the war, this is a psychological earthquake. And for Russia's military planners, it's a logistical nightmare. Section 2. How did Ukraine pull this off? Inside the strategy, military experts are calling it one of the most daring Ukrainian intelligence operations to date. Unlike traditional warfare that depends on territorial gains, this campaign relies on intelligence-led pinpoint targeting, low-signature technologies, and asymmetric tactics, the type that cause maximum disruption with minimal risk of open retaliation. Sources suggest Ukraine leveraged a combination of satellite reconnaissance provided by Western allies, long-range UAVs possibly launched from inside Russian territory, local resistance networks made up of anti-regime partisans or defectors, cyber, warfare tools used to trigger munitions failure or override facility controls. This represents a profound evolution in how smaller states can challenge military superpowers. Rather than front-on battles, we're witnessing the use of digital shadows, internal unrest, and surgical strikes to hit the enemy where it hurts most, the infrastructure that fuels their war machine. Section 3. Russia's response. Rage, denial, and damage control. In the immediate aftermath, the Kremlin attempted to downplay the incidents, labeling them as accidents or minor incidents caused by technical malfunctions. But video footage, verified by independent journalists, showed emergency personnel, explosions, and smoke billowing from military compounds, contradicting official narratives. By the time state media acknowledged foreign sabotage as a potential cause, it was too late. The information war had already turned against them. Russian hardliners called for mass arrests, border closures, and retaliatory bombings, while more moderate voices in the Duma warned of unprecedented vulnerability within Russian defenses. Behind closed doors, sources suggest Russia has scrambled to reinforce key sites around Moscow and deploy electronic warfare systems typically used in field operations, now placed in urban perimeters. This shift is more than symbolic. It's a silent admission. They've been breached. Section 4. The psychological fallout. Fear in the Russian capital. For the first time since the Cold War, ordinary Russian citizens are seeing their capital, long considered untouchable, turned into a possible theater of war. Panic buying surged. Online searches for bomb shelters in Moscow hit all-time highs, and younger, more tech-savvy Russians flooded VPN networks, desperately seeking independent news about what just happened. This is the kind of psychological blow that no amount of propaganda can fully neutralize. For years, Moscow projected confidence. a capital immune to Ukraine's reach. Now even wealthy elites and oligarchs are expressing fear, with some reportedly moving their families abroad temporarily. In modern warfare, morale is a battlefield of its own, and Ukraine just scored a major victory on that front, without setting foot inside the Kremlin. Section 5. NATO's silence, signals, and strategic implications. Perhaps most intriguing is the response, or lack thereof, from NATO. The alliance has issued no formal statement about the strikes. However, several NATO-aligned intelligence officials have hinted that Ukraine acted independently, with no operational input from Western agencies. This carefully worded neutrality is significant. It offers plausible deniability while also suggesting tacit approval. By not condemning the attacks, Western powers are signaling that they view these strikes as a justifiable form of defensive escalation, especially in light of Russia's ongoing missile campaigns against Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. Behind the scenes, one can assume that red lines are being re-evaluated. If Ukraine has demonstrated that it can strike the heart of Moscow's military-industrial base, it also means that strategic parity is no longer a distant fantasy. It's a growing reality, and one that may shape how this war concludes. Section 6. Is this the turning point of the war? While it's tempting to declare these strikes as a clear turning point, war, especially in the modern age, is rarely linear. But there is no doubt, this is a new phase. The days of limited engagement, where Russia bombed with impunity and Ukraine played defense, are over. Now, Ukraine is not only fighting for survival, it is strategically disrupting the core of its enemy's war production. If such strikes continue or expand, Russia may be forced to reallocate resources, reconsider offensive timelines, and even restructure its internal defense doctrine. For Ukraine, this emboldens international perception. For Russia, it brings the war, literally, home. Section 7. The bigger picture. Warfare in the 21st century. What we are witnessing is not just a geographical shift, but a paradigm shift. The Ukrainian strikes inside Moscow represent the modern evolution of warfare, where drones, data, and local alliances are more potent than tanks and troop columns. Traditional metrics, territory gained, battles won, enemies killed, are being replaced by infrastructure disruption, psychological destabilization, and targeted chaos. These tactics will define not just the rest of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, but future wars worldwide. Cyber-physical hybrid strikes, influencer-led information campaigns, decentralized warfare. These are the tools of the modern battlefield. Ukraine is showing the world that David doesn't need a bigger stone. He just needs smarter tools and the courage to use them. Section 8. Civilian blowback and the pressure on Putin's inner circle. As the war creeps into Russia's metropolitan heart, the consequences are no longer limited to military installations or political targets. The civilian environment is now inevitably affected. In a tightly controlled society where public dissent is already rare, the visible fracturing of internal security is pushing citizens to reevaluate their blind allegiance to the regime. Putin's inner circle is reportedly under growing pressure from oligarchs and bureaucrats who have long tolerated the war, so long as it remained far from their gated communities, business interests, and family estates. But now, with drone warnings, nighttime explosions, and whispers of additional strikes, that unspoken social contract is breaking down. Even among Russia's elite, fear has become a tangible currency. Private security firms are reporting spikes in demand. Russian billionaires are accelerating real estate purchases in the UAE, Cyprus, and Central Asia. An encrypted chatter among Moscow's intelligentsia, those in universities, scientific institutions, and tech sectors, hints at a rising tide of internal skepticism toward the war's sustainability. While this won't spark revolution overnight, it signals a quiet erosion, a political rot from within that no bunker or bunker mentality can ignore. Section 9. The next frontier. Is Ukraine preparing more domestic disruption in Russia? Military analysts are now debating a key question. Was this an isolated message, or the beginning of a systematic campaign by Ukraine to destabilize Russia from the inside? If the latter, the implications are extraordinary. By targeting domestic infrastructure, not just munitions labs, but perhaps cyber hubs, rail junctions, fuel depots, or propaganda nodes, Ukraine could methodically weaken the connective tissue of Russia's military state. It's a form of infrastructure attrition that functions like a slow internal bleed, harder to see, but devastating over time. There are also indications that non-state actors within Russia are collaborating with Ukrainian intelligence. From ethnic minorities historically oppressed by Moscow to political opposition networks seeking leverage, Ukraine may have allies behind enemy lines that have been dormant until now. This networked resistance, paired with drone warfare and digital sabotage, could evolve into something unprecedented.